Welcome back, everybody. Stop and frisk. The trial, it continued today. I want to bring Dominic in. And Dominic, we heard probably the most vocal supporter of the practice here. And he said a lot on the stand here, and he also said a lot to you afterwards.
Well, you know, he's quite convincing, to be very candid with you. Richard, just retired Chief Joseph Esposito, that is, says there is no racial profiling, as he wrapped up 2 days of testimony today as the highest ranking police department official to take the stand. For a second here, let's talk numbers. Stop and frisk are up some 600 to 700% under Esposito's watch, where 88% of those stopped are found to have done nothing wrong. Esposito says he has no problem, Richard, with those stats. He says stops and frisks saves lives. And when I pressed Esposito, what if it was his son? He says not only are people of color stopped, Esposito says it's happened to him and his son.
Sure, it's controversial, but it's part of our strategy. It's not the only thing we do to make crime come down. It's a tool that we use very effectively. And again, the numbers are up. Sure, they're up. They're starting to come down a little bit. But look at the crime. 40% down in the last 12 years under the Bloomberg and Kelly administration. 80% down in the last 20 years. This is only a small part of what we do. And it's not just about shootings and guns. It's about crime. If we stop a person who's looking in a car, and we don't have probable cause to make an arrest, but by us stopping him because we have reasonable suspicion to talk to him about breaking into that car, now he doesn't commit that crime. How many crimes have we prevented with the stop and frisk program? It's just impossible to determine.
Chief, it doesn't bother you that stop and frisk are up 600% under your watch?
Well, again, if you heard the testimony, there are reasons for that. We've changed the report. I think a lot of times in the past, people were stopped and the form wasn't filled out. It was a narrative. You had to write out why to stop, why you did the stop. Now it's a checkoff. So it's a lot easier for an officer to make out that card.
88% have found that they've done nothing wrong in these stops. That doesn't bother you, Chief?
Again, I go back to the point, how many crimes did we prevent? You know, we stop a person with reasonable suspicion. If it doesn't raise to probable cause, we don't make an arrest. But how many times do we make that criminal, perhaps, if it is a criminal, think twice and say, you know what, I can't steal this car tonight. I'm going to go home and go to sleep because the cops are onto me. That's the part that we can't measure. That's the untold story that I don't think gets out enough. How many crimes are prevented by stop, question, and frisk?
Chief, you ran the department under Kelly, but how would you feel if it was your son being stopped and frisked?
My son was stopped. I was stopped. It's not like it just happens to people of color. I was stopped in the 70s. While I was a police officer, I was stopped. So, again, I don't think they stopped me because I was white. I think they stopped me because I had long hair and I was maybe acting suspiciously, I'm sure.
Now, Richard, in the interest of time, I didn't go further in what the chief had to say, but he talked a lot about the fact that he had been stopped. So let's talk a little bit about that. It happened in the 1970s. He said he had a lot longer hair and he had a beard and he was an anti-crime cop and he was straddling between two precincts. He says he was stopped, identified himself, he understands why it happens. He didn't go into details about his son, but he also said Eric Adams, someone you've interviewed, the claim that Adams said that Kelly, the police commissioner, made that comment about putting fear in black and Hispanic men as young men. The chief says that's ridiculous. He was in the room for one of the meetings. He also said that I should point out that Judge Shineland scolded him, if you will, because she said today that he was starting to give speeches from the witness stand. Yeah. So he's a very likable guy, and he makes you think twice about the policy, whether or not it's a good policy. But at the end of the day, it's hard for these numbers to add up.
No, it's going to be hard for the NYPD after this trial and whoever the next mayor is to keep this practice the way it is. All right, everybody, we come back. We're going to be talking about Anthony Weiner and whether or not the man made famous by Twitter here could actually be considering a return to public life and public office. We'll talk about that after this.